Like, share and subscribe for more great Cobra Kai videos, like this one. Today channel contributor and Miyagi-Do supporter Brihanna25 has submitted an opinion piece titled, "In Defense of John Kreese." Here are her thoughts. Okay, here goes. I wrote this weeks ago, when I was still processing Season 2, which, honestly, I'm still doing, and I wrote it in reaction to some of what I was seeing about Kreese in the wake of it. It's long, so there's a jump. To say I was surprised to see the posts about Kreese would be an understatement. I meant and still mean no offense to anyone who expected more than we got, but it truly baffled me, because we got exactly what we were promised. I saw the betrayal coming from the last seconds of Mercy Part 2, and I didn't understand how other people didn't. So, this is me trying to explain why I felt and feel the way I do about Kreese. And for better or for worse, since I'm posting it, it's open for discussion. Wow. Talk about 5 words I never in a million years imagined I'd type. I watched Season 2 of Cobra Kai within 15 seconds of it dropping. Once I started, I didn't stop. I didn't pause. I was far from the only one. A little over 5 hours later, I'd seen the entire thing. I was devastated, of course. We all were. I intended to do an immediate rewatch, but I couldn't make myself do it. I was left reeling, numb, and completely emotionally drained for the rest of the day. Again, that's not unique to me. We all were. And even though I have rewatched it since then, more than once, that feeling hasn't really faded. I'm still having a hard time putting my thoughts and feelings into words. I know it's only a television show, but the impact it has had on me, on all of us, cannot really be explained. We're all shocked. We're all stunned. We're all feeling and dealing and still processing it. If there is one word to sum up Season 2, it is this: brutal. And no one was half as brutal as the man himself, the creator of Cobra Kai, the puppet master who holds everyone's strings and pulls them to make them dance, knows every character's buttons and how to push them, John Kreese. I know a lot of people are upset about Kreese still being bad. And not only is he bad, but he's possibly even more despicable and irredeemable than he was in the movies. I know a lot of people feel that they were lied to, or somehow misled, into believing he'd be a good guy by the end of the season. I'm going to defend not only the preseason interviews that may have led fans to believing that, but also the character of John Kreese himself. And those of you who know me and what I have said about this character in the past will understand what an odd thing this is for me to do. But one of the things I love most about this show, and about the movies that spawned it, are the characters and their development. That does include John Kreese, and it always has. If you think back over what we were told about Kreese preseason, no one ever said they were going to redeem him. The big 3TM said they were going to make him human. They did. Martin Kove said he was a little bit good, and a little bit bad. He is both. First, to the big 3TM statements that either said or implied they were going to make him more human, they did. They made him much more human than he was in the movies, they just didn't make him a good one. Instead, he is devious, manipulative, abusive and cruel. And those are things that only humans can be. He's always been a kind of caricature, a stock character, baddie, with memorable lines and no discernible motivations for being the way he was. The most human we saw him in the movies was at the beginning of The Karate Kid Part 3. We see him walking down the street, alone, dejected. He is a broken man. He has lost everything and everyone, and he knows it. He has hit absolute rock bottom, and he does not know how to climb back up. That doesn't last very long, of course. He walks into the dojo, glances at his bills, half listens to his answering machine, picks up a newspaper article about Daniel's victory, and immediately, his dejection turns to anger. His desolation morphs into a singular obsession with destroying the old man who humiliated him and the child who dared to defeat him. Terry's words to Daniel and Mr. Miyagi in the garden, about karate being Kreese's entire life, about losing his students, mostly Johnny, we now know, breaking his heart, I believe this was entirely true. It's probably one of the few honest things Terry said in the whole movie. It is also probably one of the purest descriptions of John Kreese's motivation we have ever been given. There was a glimmer of hope at the beginning, in Kreese's conversation in the car with Terry, when it looked like maybe he wasn't wholly evil. But as we realized later, his protest to Terry that he didn't need to do this, didn't need to torture Daniel and Mr. Miyagi, was token only. He wanted it to happen. I'd go so far as to say that he played on Terry's love for and protectiveness of him to make it happen. That became obvious later in the movie, when he came up with the brilliant idea of making Daniel's knuckles bleed. And now that we have seen just how manipulative and calculating he can be, it fits with who and what he is. Does he have PTSD? Certainly. He told Johnny as much when he said the psychiatrists wouldn't let him re-enlist. Does it stem from the Vietnam War? Again, there is very little doubt. Is he still fighting a war in his mind that never ended for him because he wasn't allowed to finish it? I don't question that for a second, either. Do any of those things excuse what he did, to children and adults both, after he returned? Absolutely not. Understanding his mind and seeing the world through his eyes gives us insight into why he is the way he is, but it doesn't excuse what he's done. And it doesn't justify what he may do in the future. Humans aren't always nice and decent. All people aren't basically good. Daniel learned that when he was 16 years old. Johnny learned it at 51. John Kreese is 100% human, and that's undeniable. They gave us exactly what they promised us. As for Martin Cove's assertion that Kreese is a little bit good and a little bit bad, he is. This is where understanding his mind becomes vital. Kreese's bad qualities are on clear and open display for us to see. His good qualities aren't as obvious, and some would say they don't exist at all. That is because his definition of good is warped, and it doesn't fit with how we understand that word. Also, I believe very strongly that John Kreese loves Johnny Lawrence. No, it doesn't look anything like love to most of us. It looks like control, and domination, and manipulation. It looks like abuse. And that's because it is. It is dysfunctional, and destructive, and based on a power imbalance that Kreese cannot let shift in Johnny's favor for even a second. But in John Kreese's mind, it is love. Make no mistake about it, Kreese abused both of these men when they were children. He abused Johnny, mentally and emotionally, for 5 years. Whether the karate training ever rose to the level of physical abuse is debatable, but after what we saw in Season 2, in Johnny's memory of receiving his blue belt, the rest of it is inarguable. The hardest concept to grasp, after watching just that one small memory and the impact it still has on Johnny almost 40 years later, is that Kreese honestly believed, and still does, that he was doing a good thing. Listen to the things he says. Really listen to him. Even after everything that happens, even after Miguel and Robbie, and Tori and Sam, and even after the destruction of everything and everyone Johnny loves, Kreese is still convinced that what he's doing is what's best for Johnny. He truly, honestly believes that he's helping him. In his mind, he is making Johnny stronger. He is making him better. He is turning him into a good little soldier who will follow orders to the letter, because if he does what Kreese tells him, he will not and cannot lose. He is doing this because he doesn't want Johnny to feel the things he felt. He doesn't want Johnny to ever feel the sting of a defeat he had no choice but to accept. He sees in Johnny his chance to redeem himself for all the losses he himself has suffered, and he will use any means at his disposal to get him there. His abuse of Daniel is strictly about punishment. He doesn't love him. He didn't want to make him stronger. He didn't want to turn him into a winner. His abuse of Daniel was purely for revenge. He smiled about it. He laughed about it. He wanted to see a lot more of it. He tortured a child, and he enjoyed it. As much as John Kreese loves Johnny Lawrence, he hates Daniel LaRusso. He hates him for forcing defeat on Johnny. He hates him for being a better student, or a better fighter, or a better anything than Johnny. He hates Mr. Miyagi for being a better teacher, or a better fighter, or just a better everything than him. Mr. Miyagi succeeded in turning Daniel into what Kreese failed in getting Johnny to be, and so Daniel, at the ripe old age of 16, gets the dubious distinction of being the living embodiment of both Johnny's and Kreese's failures. Kreese will never forgive him for any of that. And so, Kreese, in conjunction with Terry Silver, of course, brainwashes him. They convince him to torture himself, and they torture Mr. Miyagi through him. They turn him into something he isn't and never has been. They turn him into the opposite of what Mr. Miyagi taught him to be. They send him home every night, bloody and bruised and completely oblivious to the fact that he's a nothing more than a pawn to them. He's a toy. If Johnny is Kreese's good little soldier, Daniel is his cannon fodder. Kreese loves Johnny, and he hates Daniel, and he destroyed them both. But what has to be understood is that in his mind, everything he's done have been good things. To redeem Kreese now, to turn him into a good guy, to have both of his victims forget and forgive him for everything he did, would not only be wholly unbelievable, it would invalidate everything they've been through. It would erase everything that turned the children they were into the men they are. It would cheapen and dismiss everything Kreese did to them. It wouldn't just flip the script on their story. It would rewrite it wholesale. At its heart, Cobra Kai is Johnny's and Daniel's story. Kreese plays a large part in that story, absolutely. But it's not his. What they suffered at his hands shaped who and what they are, what they feel about each other, and what they believe about themselves. For better or worse, he is Cobra Kai. He is their boogeyman. And if the show is about Johnny and Daniel, then it has to be about them dealing with the impact Cobra Kai and John Kreese has had and continues to have on them and the people they love. For that to be possible, Kreese has to remain what he is and has always been. A little bit good, and a whole lot bad. So what do you think? Do you agree with Brianna or disagree? Let us know in the comments. Like, share and subscribe for more great Cobra Kai videos.